This is the Nation's Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show. Things have gotten really quiet in regards to the California wildfires because, again, as things work in our country, we get hit with false flag after psyop that we just continually move on and forget, kind of like everybody forgot about what happened to the people in Lahaina. And nobody checks in to see where they're living, which is in FEMA homes, which look like prison cells, which they've just slopped blue and green paint on to make it look like it's wonderful, like some type of dystopian hell. And hey, look, there they are. Oh, that's so nice that they built them these homes after they burned their homes to the ground. Isn't the government great? Right? People just forget. So the LA fire is only a couple weeks old, and already you don't hear much on the news about it. But I was checking in on what's going on there with the rebuild, because we know the rebuild is planned because they did that so they could rebuild it with new infrastructure, new housing, right? And of course, they have to get it built quick because of the Olympics coming. So they're quietly now getting rid of the debris, which is what you would think they'd be doing after the event. There's nothing super suspicious about them removing the debris right after. But what is a little bit suspicious is this article I came across about how Los Angeles is getting a moonshot moment to rebuild. Because some of the stuff in the article should get your brain, churning. You should start thinking and say to yourself, well, that's a little suspicious. Well, that's also a little suspicious. I mean, shouldn't they just worry about getting as many hands on deck to clean up? Well, they're already on to the next thing because this was planned ahead of time. So now they're just releasing to you what the plan is going to be. And it sounds a lot like the stuff that people like me and you said it was from the get-go and have been exposing for years. So let me read to you what Reuters wrote here. As Los Angeles recovers from its devastating wildfires, environmental engineers, urban planners, and natural disaster experts are casting forward with visions of what could come next for neighborhoods that have been reduced to ash and rubble, as if they didn't already have this planned ahead of time, right? Listen to this. Apartment buildings could spring up where strip malls and parking lots once stood, with locals walking to ground floor shops, offices, and cafes, European style. If you're shrugging your shoulders and are saying, I don't understand what you're getting at, apartment buildings springing up, okay. Strip malls, well, those are going obsolete because, of course, part of the government's plan is to make going out and going to stores obsolete, because soon you're just going to be trapped in your home and your deliveries are going to come to your door with your allotted allowance that they give you. But did you hear that? Locals walking to ground floor shops and offices and cafes, European style? Because that's exactly what a 15-minute city is, which I'll show you in a few minutes. But the city, listen to this, could infill vertically to add affordable housing and safer downtown areas. So you might hear that and say, what does that mean? Infill vertically? What's going to go? It's going to go upwards? It's going to infill vertically. Kind of sounds like the line, doesn't it, in Saudi Arabia? Listen, the city could infill vertically, right? Rather than outwards with more single-family homes on prior prone hills. So cities aren't going to go outwards. They're going to come inwards and pack you in like sardines, aka 15-minute city blueprint, which is also a smart city for anyone out there that hasn't heard the term 15-minute city, because some people have been aware of smart city governance from the World Economic Forum. 15-minute city is how they market this to get, mainly liberals on board with thinking that this is fantastic, that everything's within 15 minutes of them, until they realize you can't escape, right? So I love how it's infill vertically. It sounds exactly like Saudi Arabia's The Line, which I've covered many, many times. And if you don't know about The Line in Saudi Arabia, if you're new to my channel, make sure you check out the videos on the website and get a look at what they're building out there for billions of dollars. Because what it is a prison in the middle of the desert that you can't escape. But of course, it's going to be marketed to you like it's wonderful. Because what do you think? They're going to show bars on the doors? No, this will be invisible bars. You'll be in a uniform. And when you think you can go outside, well, that's your allotted recess for an hour. And if you ever try to escape, guess what? You'll die in the middle of the desert, but you won't be able to escape because there'll be armed guards out there waiting for you, right? So the city could infill vertically, right? Rather than outwards. And it says some blocks could be turned into buffer zones where no building was allowed. So they're going to take over land, which was once owned by people, right? And they're going to say, well, this is a buffer zone now. Your land is now a buffer zone, so you're not going to be able to build here. We're going to squish you in. We're going to squish you in vertically, and then we're going to block these areas, call them buffer zones. And the city's trademark palm trees, which burn like Roman candles, could be replaced with fire-resistant native trees. Why don't they just put Lego trees up at this point? right? Making people so fearful of, oh, that's a fire hazard. That's this. That's that. Well, it's a fire hazard when the government uses a directed energy weapon called a smart meter and puts it on your home, or if they decide to use it via the satellite balloon and shoot a laser down. I mean, everything becomes a fire hazard, doesn't it? But they tell you, hey, palm trees are now bad, right? You might as well get rid of palm trees and just put Lego palm trees up. I'm sure in this dystopian hell they're creating, that these people who are living their lives as Stepford wives, thinking we're in Pleasantville, would probably think it was wonderful and cute, right? So it says these are some of the bold ideas academics have for Los Angeles as it recovers from the Eaton and Palisades fires, which killed 28 people and damaged or destroyed nearly 16,000 structures. Together, the blazes charred 59 square miles, an area larger than Paris. Okay, it continues on. Ready? The city is far from rebuilding, with many people only now being allowed back to their burned neighborhoods. When construction does begin, few of the dozen experts Reuters spoke to expected their dream plans to be adopted, citing factors ranging from lack of future insurance coverage to political pressure to rebuild as before. So don't worry, you aren't going to be able to, give your dream home. You want to tell some of the people building the homes that you want to build this dream home. You have to be happy that they're going to rebuild it. And guess what? They're rebuild them all the same, because that's what this FEMA hell looks like. And they're going to tell you that you're living freely. So this is where it's good. Ready? Nonetheless, experts in urban development, climate change, and housing said Los Angeles has a chance to think outside the box. Many also said there should be no rush to rebuild. Instead, residents of Pacific Palisades and Altadena should be afforded time to decide what their future community should look like and dream big. And this is all, of course, a nightmare. It's not a real dream. It's a nightmare because they're going to push you right in. Because did you hear that term where they said, nonetheless, experts in urban development, climate change and housing, right? Because what you're going to get are these smart homes, climate-friendly homes that are designed to be energy efficient and reduce its environmental impact. And of course, what this means is that all the things in your home, from your heat to your appliances, can be shut off remotely. Now, of course, right now, today, when you hear this, you would just call me a conspiracy theorist. Until, of course, the world continues to change and you've already invited this tech into your house, and then suddenly they pass a law that says your electricity has to be off on a Friday night. And you might say right now, that can never happen. Oh yeah, you can't see Donald Trump doing that? Fine. Can you see Joe Biden 2.0 doing it? Can you see the next puppet they put in power? Of course, you probably can, but then you say it probably won't happen. Well, they're still waiting on you to get all the smart tech on your home. So climate-friendly homes can be considered smart homes. It incorporates smart tech that actively manages energy consumption and promotes sustainability. So what do you think managing energy consumption means? Allotted time to have electricity. Even though they have endless amounts of electricity, free energy, as asked Nikola Tesla, they plan on making you live like prisoners live. They can't throw us all in cells. Let me get this real clear to anyone out there that's new. They hate us. These are people who would sacrifice and do and have their own children. So I don't have children, but if you do, just imagine that. If you have pets, imagine sacrificing your own pet for the greater good. You think that they actually give a crap about us? They look at us as cattle. So when you hear about managing energy consumption and then making us live like prisoners, that's nothing to them. They look at that and say, you're lucky we even let you live at this point. That's their mindset. You're lucky that we'll even put you in a cell. You're lucky we don't come to your door and slaughter you like the cattle that you are to us. So it's important to note this climate-friendly, climate change housing, because it's a thing. I covered this back when Helene hit. Parts of Florida went dark from Helene and Milton, but the lights stayed on in this net zero storm-proof community. So this little community of cubicles that all look the same, kind of like the FEMA camps, were all built net zero. And because of that, their homes survived the hurricane. So you can see how they're already easing this mind control propaganda in of how these homes need to be built in the future. All smart technology, right? Oh, now you won't get hit with a hurricane in Florida, even if you're on the coast. Because, now your house might be built a little bit better than before. Because remember, in America, we build our houses like paper homes. I said it recently, the Three Little Pigs. The way they build homes in America is like building it with straw. Other countries use brick, they use stone, their foundations are deep, so that these types of things don't actually happen. But in America, we've built them like paper mache, right? So they're all primed to get wiped out. But all it would really take is people building their homes differently to avoid any type of weather event, whether it's man-made or naturally occurring. So these homes obviously are built properly. So that's why these homes didn't get wiped out by the hurricanes, or maybe they actually steered the hurricane away from their net zero community. But they're going to tell you that the homes were so carbon friendly that somehow the hurricane went up to their community and said, you know what, I appreciate the fact that they're net zero. And it just took a left turn right around it. It went, you know what, I'm not going to go after these people today. Look at them. They put up all this climate friendly stuff. You know, they're trying to help out to prevent me from killing them, right? I'm going to go right around them. You know, I mean, it's unbelievable the propaganda they put out that people buy. People should they go, what is net zero? Can I build mine storm-proof? You can make a storm-proof home. You don't need to be net zero. The point is that they want you to be net zero. So back to what I was talking about with the 15-minute cities. There are people out there that don't understand what the plan is. To pack in like sardines, to make everything within walking distance. No cars, everything is run through electronics, everything is electric, everything is tracked and monitored. And that's part of Agenda 2030. That's part of the plan. This is what it looks like for anybody out there that doesn't know.
Does this look familiar? Sitting in gridlock traffic, rushing from work to appointments, going to be late for dinner again. The road rage kicks in. This is the life we're used to. But what if life could look like this? An oasis of green parks, endless sidewalks, and empty roads. Impossible? Well, it's actually the concept behind the 15-minute city.
15-minute city or the 15-minute neighborhood is certainly something that's become very much, you can say, in vogue recently.
Paris is working towards it, so is Barcelona and Portland, and now Vancouver also has a plan in place.
Big new move number one was that we build a city where for all residents in the city, 90% of your daily needs are within a walking distance.
When I put the closest grocery store in my GPS, it's more than a 30-minute walk away. But in a 15-minute city, I could walk to the grocery store, post office, doctor's appointment, gym, hair salon, dentist, you name it, all within, you guessed it, just 15 minutes. A solution not just for gridlock on the streets, but also for carbon emissions. In fact, the goals of creating a more walkable city were announced as part of Vancouver's recent Climate Emergency Action Plan. And the Vancouver Plan and Project team are already in the process of figuring out what neighborhoods should look like and how to translate that into land use strategies.
Just look at your neighborhood and look at your walk score. The walk score actually just tells you how many good things you're a short walk from. Where we get really low walk scores are in the parts of the city that are largely suburban. And so there's some sections where, you know, single-family homes are really far from a lot of retail. And in those areas, the actual answer is to deliver more of those commercial services to them.
The Plan and Project team will be addressing council with options as early as July, and they'll also have some pilot project ideas. But for this plan to really work, you don't just need to change the city.
To meet the environmental goals that the country, the province, and the city have committed to repeatedly, is to change behavior.
So in Vancouver's latest Climate Emergency Action Plan, they announced new incentives to drive less, like connecting cycling and walking networks citywide in hopes that 80% of trips by 2030 will be made either by foot, bike, or transit. They also announced disincentives for driving, like implementing transportation pricing in the Metro Core and creating a carbon pollution surcharge on residential parking permits. But all of this takes some time.
Cities change slowly over time because you actually have to build them.
The team says they're looking at how to move Vancouver towards this vision over the next 30 to 50 years.
And that's a hell that's coming to a lot of cities around the earth right now. Canada and Edmonton, they have 15-minute cities. They're saying that they're necessary putting these in. Some people are opposing it. You're not going to have a choice on whether you oppose it or not. Because once they wipe your house out and then they say, look, this is your option. You can't remodel your home in the Palisades, okay? You're not allowed to say, oh, I want my decor to look like this. I want it to be French, modern Rome. I want a Victorian home. You're getting the same exact build as everybody else, which is much like a prison. And we're going to slap it right here. But guess what? We're going to give it to you for free. And then everything in your home is going to be smart tech. That way you're at net zero. Then next time there's a fire, the fire will just do a U-turn when it sees that your home's net zero and avoid you because you're being a good person, right? That's the mindset that these sheep will have. And then, you know, these people go along with it until all of a sudden they realize, hey, I'm hearing stuff in the news about just storms coming again all over the place. Okay, so what we need to do is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, lights out at 8, one shower a week, one flush of the toilet a month. And people will just go along with it. They'll be thankful that the government's given them a new home. They'll say, look, you're living in our home. This isn't your home anymore. It's ours. We built it for you. So now you're a resident of us and you have to follow our rules, which is exactly what happens in FEMA camps. I've talked about this. The FEMA homes have their own set of rules. And if you go against their rules, you can be evicted. So in other words, your house burned in Lahaina, you're standing around, you're trying to find somewhere to live. They put you in a hotel for a few months and they say, look, the FEMA homes are ready. You sign to go into the FEMA home. It's not yours. You don't own it. It's temporary living, right? But it's really long-term living. And once you're inside that home, if suddenly you're having a party late at night and the FEMA officers come to your door and they say, you better turn your music down. You say, no, I'm in my own home. Well, we have rules here in our FEMA community. You can't have music on past 8. And you say, well, I don't know about that. And they say, well, we're going to throw you out. You have a choice. You can have a home and you can comply, or you could have no home and do what you want. But of course, we could still arrest you out there in the streets anyway, because, we do what we want and we get away with it. We're criminals. We're psychopathic criminals, right? Or another perfect example is in these FEMA camps, right? They come to your door and they say, hey, I heard about there's a bird flu going around. They go, bird flu? Well, I'm a human, so I'm not really afraid of it. They go, oh, you should be, right? You should be, because you can grow feathers from it and a beak, and you can start looking like a chicken. You go, oh boy, yeah, I'm not afraid. They go, well, here's the rule. Everybody here's getting a bird flu shot. If you don't get your bird flu shot, you can't live in these homes anymore. That's another way that they'll be able to get that certain goo, that certain substance inside of people's bodies. So that's the recovery update of what's occurring. It's laughable. It really is. What's occurring? I mean, it's one thing to say, well, they're cleaning up debris in Los Angeles. Moonshot moment to rebuild. And then telling us lines like, let's just recap the lines. Apartment buildings could spring up where malls and parking lots once stood, with locals walking to ground floor shops, offices, and cafes, right? Squeezing you in, because the city could infill vertically rather than outwards, right? Because they're going to block off the outward areas with buffer zones, right? They're probably going to have armed guards there, making sure you don't leave, that you live in your little dome, right? And of course, all of these things need to be thought about in the future. We could think about a rebuild and we'll convince you that you have say in the rebuild, but you don't. Because the rebuild has to be climate change friendly. And you won't even know what that means. So when they tell you it's all smart, updated devices, you'll be thrilled because you say, oh, those aren't fire hazards? No, they're actually just the bomb that they're putting on your home that they can detonate at any time. And it's the smart meter, right? And you say, well, what does that mean? Well, it just means that, what does having this smart stuff mean? Well, it just means that, it's net zero. And it's going to, like it says in the article, right? What was the specific line that it said? It says it could monitor and track your energy levels or your environmental impact, right? Which means that your thermostats, your energy efficient lighting, all these things that are automated systems, they'll have control over, making it smart. And then, of course, when they decide to pass laws that say that you can't do this and you can't do that, well, you're going to be screwed because they're going to have control over all of it. When you can't flip a light switch on your own because they've shut the power off, and even if you get a smart meter off, if you're dumb enough to have all of your things in your home controlled via your phone or controlled via Wi-Fi, guess who controls that, right? These are things they don't want you to think about. The plan overall is to turn the infrastructure into that smart infrastructure, controlled infrastructure. It's a control grid, a control prison grid that they are building out. And it's coming to Los Angeles, and it's coming probably to most cities in America soon. And you can expect, with the predictive programming that we've seen, New York City to be on the clock. Here's looking at you, kid. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.